You know, there are moments in history that are so big, so catastrophic, they leave a scar on the soul of a nation. Today, we're going to talk about one of those moments, the Partition of India.
The year is 1947. Imagine this. A decision is made, and almost overnight, millions of people are uprooted, forced to flee the only homes they've ever known. An entire subcontinent is changed forever.
We hear the basic facts, sure, but the real story of the partition is, well, it's a lot more complex and just so much more tragic than most of us realize. So what really happened? Well, the truth is a story of incredible speed, shocking ignorance, and just unimaginable human suffering. It's a story that, I promise you, is way darker than you probably think.
Okay, so to really understand the break, we first have to get a picture of what was there before. Let's take a look at the Indian subcontinent when it was under British rule.
So before 1947, India was this one single huge territory. It was this incredible mix of different cultures, religions, languages, all woven together. It was complex, for sure, but it was also incredibly powerful. But as the British were getting ready to leave, that unity started to crack. Tensions between Hindu and Muslim communities were rising, and one single massive question was hanging over everything. Should this land stay as one nation, or should it be split in two? The answer to that question came with brutal, shocking speed. And that brings us to the decision itself, a line literally drawn in haste that would change everything.
What's so wild is just how abrupt it all was. 1 minute, in British India, you have a single unified land. The next, in August 1947, with the stroke of a pen, it's split into two separate countries, India and Pakistan. Just like that.
And this is the crucial part. There was no real long-term plan. The borders, the very lines that would define these new countries, were drawn up in a matter of weeks. No planning, no preparation for the chaos that was obviously going to follow.
And that chaos? Oh, it arrived with terrifying force. This one decision kicked off one of the largest and deadliest mass migrations in all of human history.
Just look at this number, 14 million. An estimated 14 million people were forced to pack up their lives and cross these new borders, suddenly becoming refugees in what was, just a few weeks earlier, their own country. So you had this massive flow of people going in two directions. Millions of Hindus and Sikhs who suddenly found themselves on the Pakistan side of the line started moving toward India. At the very same time, millions of Muslims on the Indian side began traveling to Pakistan.
But this wasn't some orderly process. It was pure chaos. Horrific violence erupted all along the new borders. Trains that were supposed to be carrying people to safety would arrive at the station just filled with the dead. Entire villages were burned to the ground. Families were ripped apart forever. And in the madness, neighbors turned on neighbors.
So how could something like this even happen? It really brings us to the unspoken truth of the partition, and it forces us to ask a really tough question. Could any of this have been prevented? Look at this timeline. The final decision to partition India was made in June of 1947. The borders were drawn and independence was granted just 2 months later. 2 months. That left absolutely no time to manage the situation on the ground. And then there's this, which is maybe the most shocking fact of all. The British lawyer who was given the job of drawing the border, a man named Cyril Radcliffe, had never even been to India before. He was drawing a line through villages, homes, and farms he knew absolutely nothing about.
Because of this insane rush and this unbelievable ignorance, many historians now argue that the scale of this disaster wasn't inevitable. They believe that with real planning and a much more gradual transition, the bloodshed could have been massively reduced or maybe, just maybe, avoided altogether.
Eventually, the violence did die down, but it left behind a legacy of pain that is still very real today. So let's talk about the aftermath.
By the time it was all over, it's estimated that more than 1 million people were dead. 1 million lives. That's the staggering human cost for a line drawn on a map.
And the impact didn't stop there. Not even close. The scars of 1947 are still completely visible today. You can see them in the tense politics between India and Pakistan, you see them in the contested borders, and you can feel them in the memories of the families who lived through it.
In the end, the partition of India wasn't just some political event. It was a profound human tragedy. It's a terrifying reminder of what happens when fear and division are rushed into policy. It really proves that history doesn't just live in the past. It's alive,
and it is actively shaping the world we live in right now.